Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today presenting to you about specific topic, current good manufacturing practice guideline in preparation for FDA, US FDA inspection and trend do's and don'ts. I have developed this topic, with the intent to provide actionable information to the industry when they are, especially for those professionals and firms who are in preparation for FDA inspection, even if they have hosted some FDA inspection in the past, and the information that I present, because it's practical and actionable, is believed to be still very helpful. This is general disclaimer for your own review, but the entire content of this presentation are not intended to be all-inclusive. What does that mean by saying that? Well, what I'm trying to tell you is that even though I have put together the best content for today's presentation purposes, you may have expected some additional content to be covered. If that's the case, then you may raise any question during Q&A session. I will be more than happy to address any of your questions. Today we have various objectives, starting with laws and regulation and some FDA's policy changes, key important manuals that FDA-regulated industry need to be familiar with an FDA inspection process, common deficiencies, actionable information regarding how to prepare and manage FDA inspections, and how to communicate with emotional intelligence skills before, during, and after FDA inspection, and in particular, employee training, the importance of employee trainings, and then practical, actionable, and sustainable strategy, passage, suggestional recommendations. So the law that I'm referring to, and that you may be very familiar already, is that Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. We generally refer to it as FFDCA or simply FDCA or the Act. Well, under the FDCA, for today's presentation purposes, I will refer to it as FDCA. Regarding FDA inspection authority under FDCA, that's under Section 704. And when you receive, for example, FDA's inspection notification from FDA 482, and that form specifically makes a reference to the Section 704 of the FDCA. But FDCA, that's the public statute. It is the law. But then there is FDA regulation that we are referring to commonly as, Title 21 Code of Federal Regulation, Food and Drugs. We generally refer to it as 21 CFR, Food and Drugs. But then that's the federal regulation per se. What's the difference between statute, law, and federal regulation? The federal regulation, actually, the regulation are published, by the U.S. executive branch. For example, in this case, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which governs U.S. Food and Drug Administration. They are the one who issue 21 CFR, Food and Drugs, and with intent to implement the statutory requirements. Therefore, the regulation is not actually the law, because it's intended to implement the statutory requirements, but it can be called as administrative law. So the difference between the public statute, which is implemented on the particular regulation, in this case 21 CFR, Food and Drugs, and then FDA's recently publishing a lot of guidance document, whether it's final or draft. In each and every guidance document, FDA makes an explicit statement. This is our current thinking on the topic. What does that mean? That means that's how FDA, think about the requirement and implementation. And therefore, when we read FDA guidance document, even though neither FDA nor the industry are bound to it, unless industry has a better way to do it, or at least equivalent way to do it, it's better follow the FDA guidance document. That's because, that's how FDA interpret the, applicable statute or regulation, when it comes down to how to demonstrate our compliance. So once we know, how FDA think about particular topic, industry, we better understand, how to implement so that, so that we can later demonstrate